hello. I am Manisha, managing WSAF program, warmly welcoming you all for joining us online today. With me is my colleague Jatin Bhavishi. We are hosting this webinar on the eve of International Women's Day. This day provides an important moment to us to showcase commitments made to women's equality, launch new initiatives and action, celebrate women's achievements, highlight gender parity gains, and more. Just to give a brief introduction, Women's Safety Accelerator Fund is supported currently by Unilever, Tesco, IDH, the Sustainable Trade Initiative, Ethical Tea Partnership, and managed by IDH. The program is addressing gender-based violence in the tea value chains in Assam, and from this year, we also are expanded in Darjeeling and Dwars. So the topic for today's webinar is gender equality for a safe and empowered workplace for women in the tea gardens, which is very much aligned with the UN Women's global theme, which is gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. We have with us, as we see already, distinguished officials from Government of Assam, from Indian Tea Association, Tea Board, Tea Tribes Directorate, gender specialists as speakers. We also have with us joining colleagues from IDH India and global team, representatives from funders, implementing partners, Bangla Natok, ICC SPL, Shakshi, Seeds, Deltarite, Sesta, along with senior representatives of the tea estate ecosystem from Assam. The common binding factor for all of us here has been our engagement and commitment to accelerate gender equality in the tea value chain. So we are very privileged to have all, to manage to get all of them on this webinar. In today's webinar, we are trying to explore ways of how can we leverage the potential of women's leadership in the tea gardens and come out with some suggestions for strategic collaborations to reinforce our commitments, and amplify action towards creating safe and empowered workplace for women in the tea gardens. So that's basically, the purpose of the webinar, and we are looking for, the kind of interactions that we would be having is would try to seek these areas. And this webinar is going to be conversational. Just to give you a brief format of the webinar, we would have opening remarks, which would be followed by questions posed before panel, just to initiate the discussions on the topic. And finally, we would have concluded speech by Sri Mukesh Chandra Shahu, who is Principal Secretary to Government of Assam, and other than 6 important departments, social welfare is one of the department under him, and he would conclude with suggestions for ways forward. I would request all speakers to keep your cameras on, and all the participants who are joining to use chat boxes or the Q&A box for any reflections or questions to panelists, which we would like to take up towards the end. And also, at the beginning, I just want to flag off that our session might overshoot by 10-15 minutes. It's just an alert. Now, at the beginning, I also would like to introduce our distinguished panel members and speakers. So we have with us, and we'll be joining, few more to join, 8 distinguished speakers. It is my privilege to definitely introduce you and have you in this call. Ms. Nayantara Palchodhuri, who is the first woman chairperson of the Indian Tea Association and Consultative Committee on Plantations Association. Mr. Sandeep Ghosh, also from Indian Tea Association, Secretary Sustainability. Dr. Nazrana Ahmed, who is an academic and industrialist and a lawyer and director of Ahmed Tea. Professor Polly Walklin, head of Department of Women's Studies from Guwahati University. Ms. Shweta Sharma, representing UNICEF, who is nutrition and gender specialist. Ms. Dolly Malakar, from Development Officer representing Tea Board, Mr. Anshu Shukla, Manager Sustainability, Welfare, Compliance at Amalgamated Plantations. We also would be having Mr. Bhaskar Fukan, Additional Secretary to Government of Assam, who is also looking after Directorate of Tea Tribe Welfare, will be joining us soon. So this comprises our, panel member speakers. I would now invite Ms. Palchodhuri for her opening remarks. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thanks, Manisha. Namaskar and a very good evening to all of you. Well, friends, the Indian Tea Association, established in 1881, the oldest association of tea producers in the world, and over the years has emerged as the premier coordinating body of the Indian tea industry on key policy matters. It is indeed a great honor for me to head this association as the first lady chairperson, especially in an industry where 60% of the workforce are women. I'm sure it will be a challenging assignment for me. I am a fourth generation planter in West Bengal and passionate about the industry, and will of course work towards a sustainable future for the tea industry during my tenure. The Indian Tea Association, being the driver of corporate social responsibility, has an unwavering vision of improving the quality of lives of the workforce and communities residing in tea gardens. I am happy to state that the ITA has recognized the vital role of women in the industry and have addressed many delicate social and economic issues through the participation of mothers' clubs and adolescent girls' clubs in our tea estates. In fact, on the 8th of March, Women's Day, we are planning a special program recognizing the activities done by the various mothers' clubs and their representatives, welfare officers, UNICEF, and women in leadership positions in the management level are going to join in. This is an initiative of ITA's Sustainability Cell. Well, friends, the whole idea is to create awareness amongst tea women of their position in their societies and their role in making tea estates their home, free from ills and harmful social practices, and of course, creating awareness amongst men and children. At a later stage, the ITA Sustainability Cell plans to engage with women workers and maybe the retired lady pluckers and adolescent girls, imparting some sort of skill training. In fact, my wish is to promote the indigenous handicrafts in the tea regions and plan for social mobilization through art and craft forms like we have done with the Potochitro and storytelling in West Bengal, creating awareness on social issues. And I'm very happy that banglanatok.com is present here today to help me with this vision. The large women workforce in our tea gardens remains vulnerable to sexual harassment at workplaces and domestic violence at home. I believe in certain districts, we have protection officers attached to the district administration where they can go to seek help. In fact, the ITS Sustainability Cell plans to conduct self-defense training along with other NGOs and trainers. The International Women's Day commemorates the inspiring role of women around the world to secure women's rights and build more equitable societies. I must congratulate IDH, WSAF, and other partners for their efforts to flag this important issue in the context of tea gardens and hope that sustainable solutions are found to safeguard women's rights. to my mind, an integrated approach of creating awareness at workplaces on sexual harassment, educating women and men on the ill effects of domestic violence propagated through the Mothers Club, garnering support of other stakeholders in the TS states, such as peer groups, and of course, our trade union friends, is necessary. To achieve desired results, an effective action plan must be in place at the garden level. I wish to congratulate all women in tea gardens in Assam and West Bengal and women in leadership positions on the occasion of International Women's Day, and hope all of them have a safe and happy future ahead. With these few words, I would now request our Secretary, Sustainability Cell, Mr. Sandeep Ghosh, to make a very brief presentation on our activities. Namaskar.
Thank you, ma'am. I think before we enter the panel, which is again a very, it's within the inverted commas, it's all fixed. The IT, as the chairperson has mentioned, we have been in association with developing communities. The ITA had believed this right from pre-independence India to post-independence India. I'll talk about the 90s and move on very quickly. And we have had our engagement with UNICEF since 2003. And since then, a number of programs have unfolded. Especially, we have earmarked a vehicle of change. And the vehicle of change was the Mothers Clubs, which was formed in 2000 in Assam and in 1993-94 in West Bengal. So these people, they were the women who took up the issues, and they were trained on various factors. Till such time, again, when the UNICEF came in, there was a more structured program. We had programs on education, we had programs on health, we had programs on proper sanitation, all to do and empowering women and their lives, and they should have a healthy life and their children. So all this happened. Till such time we walked into anemia, and this is again empowering women. We found a large number of people, women were down with anemia in all the tier states. So we did a program for them, and we found out that proper interventions at that point of time could lead to better results. Of course, those are the things which we will talk about later. But anemia, after the anemia studies were over, we landed up simultaneously with nutrition. The nutrition component, extremely important component in tea gardens. And we have had major support from UNICEF. And we are presently now also working with another international agency on workforce nutrition. So the nutritional inputs right from the childhood, tackling severe malnourished cases, bringing them proper growth, getting into proper growth modes. All this was again brought about on the empowerment of women. And we told them what they should do. As you all know, it was starch, potatoes, rice, and salt. And today it is vegetables, it is a lot of nutritious items in the same, what is available in the tea gardens. The entire dietary habits have changed. And this has all happened over the years. It has not happened overnight. It has taken time. We face resistance, but the communities who took the pledge to do it are the Mothers Clubs and the Adolescent Girls Clubs. The Adolescent Girls Clubs today, and the boys, we have got around 30,000 of them in our 160 tier states, which encompasses all the companies in Assam. And we are trying to expand more with partnership with UNICEF. So nutrition is a big issue which happened. In the last 3 years, 2.5 years, we have had a program with UNICEF Delhi, which talked about responsible business practices. Now, we have drawn up an action plan. There has been specific areas on with women where women can change society. All that happened, and there's an action plan which has already in place with the help of UNICEF Delhi. This is on responsible business practices, because it is mandated by the government that we should all, as businesses in the world of sustainable development where we are, we should all behave responsibly, have responsible production, and the stakeholders also, we must have enough responsibility shown so that the industry or a community as a whole prospers. So this is just a flash past 20 years. So we stand to learn. We are learning every day, ma'am, and we stand to be guided by what is the best possible practice, what is good for the tea community. That's how we see it. That's how the sustainability cell sees it. And we hope we would be able to do something more for the people, for the residents of the tea gardens.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh, and thank you very much, Ms. Pal Chaudhary, for taking us through the so much has been happened and we have achieved in terms of reaching out to the women in the tea gardens. I now would come to Dr. Nazrana Ahmed. Ma'am, if you can just switch on your video.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
So
yes.
yeah, so I already had discussion, and if you can just share your thoughts on how an empowered workplace and community in the tea sector would look like from a gender lens, and what all it should contain. Dr. Ahmed, please.
Yes, since we are a few days prior to the 8th of March, celebrating International Women's Day, and the theme for International Women's Day this year is gender equality for a sustainable development. And the whole ethos, the crucible is sustainability today, because it is sustainability that will ensure that the largest organized women workforce have a sustainable future. Because we have to take into account the climate change that we see today. And especially if we do not take steps to ameliorate this or take corrective measures to rectify or deal with climate change, we will find that women will suffer at large. Because if they have to move away from the workplace, away from their homes due to economic necessity, the evils of trafficking, which we see in certain pockets, especially in the unorganized sectors, will also be perceived in this organized estates. For the longest time, this is the only industry that has given women equal rights, equal wages, which are on par with men. There is no gender differentiation in regard to wages. Looking forward, we have to take into account the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are for UN Agenda 2030. So we are in 2022, that is 8 years for achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And in most of the estates, especially in Assam, I must say that goal number 1, that is end of poverty in all its forms everywhere, is something that is completely 100%. There is no poverty. Nutrition is an aspect that has been taken care of at every stage, whether they are workers or they are retired workers. Nutrition is something that has been taken care of. It is a lot of steps over all these years, more than 182 years. And all these steps have led to achieving goal number 1. Equally, goal number 2, end the hunger, achieve food security, improved nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Goal number 2, partially sustainable agriculture, is somewhat area which needs more activity and greater focus. Goal number 3, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Health is an important part of for women at the workplace, and it has been ensured that healthy lives are our prime focus for the industry, and it is something that the industry always work towards, and various initiatives like taking care of anemia. And one of the instances I must mention that Mr. Jagjit Kandal, during his tenure with APPL, he had introduced antifungal frocks, And I was very curious, and I kept asking him, what are these antifungal frogs? And I wanted to get down to it. And then he said, our women workers suffer from fungal infections. And we took care of that through these antifungal petticoats, actually. And Mr. Shukla is also there, and he is also aware of this initiative. And that is the kind of initiative that the industry is looking into, to improve lives, improve health, improve well-being overall. Goal 4, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Our schools most of them have tied up, now follow the Right to Education Act. And there are various initiatives with the government, partnering with the government for education. But it is goal number 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. It is goal number 5 that needs a lot of work, because it requires due diligence and responsible behavior by all stakeholders. So that we have a long way to go, but then we also have 8 years, and I hope that we are able to achieve this. I do not want to go into, with goal number 5, allow me to jump to goal number 8, because these two should be read together. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Decent work. Work that is respectable. Work that gives a dignified life. And that is what we should strive for. And that is, of course, the theme again this year. So what is goal number 6? Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. So water and sanitation, and of course, with Jal Jeevan Mission, I am sure there will be potable water in every household by the end of this year in every estate, at least in Assam. Goal number 7, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern energy for all. So electricity, all our houses are electrified. All our houses are electrified in Assam, in all the tea estates, in the organized sector. Goal number 8, as I said, inclusive development. Goal number 9, build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. So in fostering innovation, we have to ensure that the workplace is safe. The workplace is also comfortable. And when we say comfortable, again, I go back to climate change. Today, earlier in tea estates, in the summer, the temperature was not higher than 28 degrees centigrade. Today, it is touching 40 degrees centigrade. So how do we make it a comfortable workplace for our women who are out there in the fields, in the hot sun? In just another month, it will be very hot and humid. We have to make their workplace in such a way that they are able to lead not only a healthy life, but a comfortable life. So we have to tie this in, because we cannot think in silos. So we have to tie this in with what TRA has, the Tea Research Association has said, that the theme for this year is the year of the shade. So we must encourage that there must be abundance of shade in the tea estates, so the temperatures are brought down by at least 5 to 7 degrees to make it a habitable, workable atmosphere. Because atmosphere, of course, that is something is not outside our control, but we can mitigate it by planting shades and build into it. Goal number 9, build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. 10, reduce inequality in and among countries. Goal number 11, make cities and human settlements safe, resilient, sustainable. Goal number 12, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Goal number 12 is something that gets me thinking in the context of the tea industry. We have improved nutrition, we have improved access, we have improved purchasing power. But what is being purchased with that power? Fruits or junk food? Vegetables or junk food? Food items that give better nutrition, or something that is being used up because that enough information is not there to ensure that dietary changes are in line with healthy eating. Goal number 13, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. 14, conserve and sustainable use of the ocean, seas, marine resources for sustainable development. Goal number 15, protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. You see this biodiversity loss. The last decade was the year of biodiversity. But sadly, in our plantations, we did not focus enough on biodiversity. And today we are looking at loss of biodiversity, especially loss of those kinds of seeds that were climate resilient. Goal number 16, promote peaceful, inclusive societies for sustainable development and provide access to justice for all and build effective, accountable, inclusive institutes at all levels. Promote justice. It is true, forming workplace complaint committees. And in the tea industry, we always had this dastur where the dastur was that one day was a bichar day. But that has to translate into a more formal setup of easier access to justice. If somebody has a complaint, it must be resolved at the grassroots, especially if it is a gender-related infringement of a woman worker's rights, a gender-related infringement of her rights. Goal number 17, strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. We cannot speak in silos. We must look at the climate. We must look at the workplace. We must look at the workers and everybody together, because all stakeholders have a responsibility. They must do due diligence and set out a roadmap to achieve the UN Agenda Goals 2030 within a span of 8 years. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. So can I request all panelists to face the camera? We just want to click a photograph because I know some of you might drop out as we move ahead. Yeah, look straight into the camera, and Jatin, I would request my colleague to click the photo. Jatin, you can switch on your camera too.
Okay, so just give me a second.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So everybody just look at the camera.
Yes.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Jatin, and thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for taking us through how you SDGs you could connect with the tea garden issues and the workers and management together. Very nicely put together. I would like to come to Professor Walklin next for getting some key pointers how potential of women's leadership in the gardens can be effectively led to address gender issues. She is the one who really has done a lot of study on tea garden workers issues, especially with specific focus to women and children. So, Professor Walklin.
Thank you so much for being a part or inviting me to be a part of this August gathering. I won't say that I have done a lot in this field because there are plenty that can be done or needs to be done in this field, that is tea gardens. But we have been, through my own research, only one, I have been a part of this UN Women's project, where I was a research consultant. And I have asked many of our students, they're from different parts of Assam. So the students were basically from Upper Assam. They prefer to do studies on tea gardens. And these are the knowledge which I have gathered while supervising this MA dissertation and also through Googling. So today, when I was asked to look at women and leadership, which is a very, very important matter of concern in the context of tea gardens, one thing which I found it so very disturbing is that we had the first women manager after 200 years, that is Manju Borwa, and it was in 2018. And after 200 years, we are having a women manager. So I think that itself talks about the gravity of this problem. Like, where are women? Where are they? So if we really look at where are they, we find them at the base. They are in the lowest part of the pyramid of the working structure of a tea gardens. And they are, when they are in the bottom, they're in huge number. And there are different articles and different stories tales said because of the nibble finger, they are required. But nowadays, different types of technologies have come in where even the fingers are not used. So where will they go if those mechanisms are included? But whatever, I think when we talk about women and leaders in the tea gardens, we don't see leadership in every stages of the decision-making bodies. Many times, the decisions which are made by men are imposed or are followed by the women workers, and which is really a matter of concern because, and this is not me saying so, this is what the research says, that women have to think about their own problem and state about their own problem. But are they in the process of thinking? Are they strongly equipped to think about themselves? So one thing which I would like to stress here is that we really require women at different stages of decision-making bodies. And once we have it, it will really bring in changes because that will incorporate women's perspective into the decision-making bodies, and which will become easier to address the different issues of women, different problems of women. Because I will know my daughter's problem better than my son's problem. Maybe my husband will know my son's problem better because it is some sort of emotional understanding that I both have. Now, again, another thing which I would like to highlight is that, yes, the former speaker, she spoke about the SDG goal, but why the Sustainable Development Goals came up? We could have we could have been able to attain those goals in Millennium Development Goals. We couldn't do it. So that is a learning lesson from us. From that, we have carried forward to the Sustainable Development Goal. And Goal 5, which is about gender equality, that is the worst performing goal for the entire year, since the time the Sustainable Development Goal has been introduced. Goal 5 is the worst performer, and of Goal 5, Assam happens to be the worst performer in the Gender Equality Index. And I feel that there are many things which are related for women not being in the leadership, or women not being the voices, or women's voice not being incorporated in different levels of managing tea gardens. I still somehow feel that the colonial style of operating still exists. Maybe some of you may disagree, but this is my perception. This is what the study says. Why? Because why now, even in today's context, in many tea gardens, why wages are paid on weekly basis? Why not on monthly basis? Maybe if we change this matter, if we change this method of paying the laborers on monthly basis, maybe their way of saving will be different. Maybe they will also understand the gravity, because this again, another study says when we talk about the wages, women's the wage is one of the lowest, and they are the backbone of the economy. It's high time we recognize the fact that the women in the tea gardens are not in a good position. We are still talking about the nutrition. We are still talking about the food. Maybe we have a long way to go to talk about them as leaders, as managers, but we have made the path through. Maybe in the future, we'll see more managers, and not just managers, we'll see more leaders in every stages. Because when we did this project, I could see the Jugnu clubs coming up, which made the laborers very strong, and they were the voices of the masses in the lower strata. But in my deliberation, I would like to emphasize that it is very important to have women in every stages of the decision-making bodies. And this is definitely going to bring in changes in the whole structure. This stand, if there are esteemed people out here who are into the management, please think about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Walklin. Thanks very much. So to all the attendees, this is a bulk of the presentation has happened. So in case if you would like to use the chat box or the Q&A box, please feel free. Next, I would invite Ms. Shweta Sharma from UNICEF. Shweta, I know that, we have heard also from previous speakers that how involved UNICEF has been with the tea garden. So based on the past experience of UNICEF's engagement with the tea workers community, if you can highlight some of the key learnings specific on attitudes and behavior which has happened, through your engagement amongst men, women, adolescents, because gender issues require shift in norms and attitude and behavior. Ms. Sharma, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My greetings to all the esteemed panelists joining today, and welcome to all the participants. First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share some of the learnings from our work in the tea gardens of Assam. UNICEF has been engaging in multi-sectoral programming in the tea gardens since many years, which has been mentioned by some of the previous panelists. Since 2018, this work was expanded to about 205 tea gardens. While this is a multi-sectoral work, because I look specifically at the nutrition program of UNICEF Assam, I will focus more on the efforts and learnings from the nutrition work in the tea gardens, in the tea communities. So there are about three key learnings that I'm hoping to share from our work today. Just to give you a background, like we know for nutrition, it's not an individual's issue. It is a society's, it is a public health issue. It is also a bigger issue. It is also a more complex issue because there is an intergenerational component to malnutrition. We know that women have a greater role, because they are the nutrition of women, it actually affects the nutrition outcomes of children, of newborns, and that has a say in how the individual grows and overall well-being of the person, even as the child grows into adolescence and of course into adulthood. So looking at that, we have been working with a life cycle approach. We have been working with adolescent girls groups, the pregnant women, mothers of young children, and of course the larger communities from the tea estates. There are some relevant behaviors which play a role in how nutrition outcomes of a society turn out to be. Like we know that for women, there are some practices that it would be common sense to understand that it would have a negative impact on the nutrition status, like a woman eating last, in families, woman eating least, less diverse foods, the woman's decision-making power in how the resources, the financial resources in the family are used, what is the care given to the child, even what is the care that she gets to practice during her pregnancy period. We were talking earlier about how the purchasing power is being used. So even just linking that with maternity benefit schemes, how that money is actually used, whether it is actually the woman who decides how to use it for her and her child's well-being, or what is the other priority that the household is dealing with, where those benefits might be getting diluted. So these are some of the aspects that we had in mind, and with that we have been working in the 205 gardens. The three learnings that I wanted to share, first one is that we need to ensure greater synergy between multiple stakeholders. We know that a lot of government and non-government stakeholders have a role to play, and only when there is a better communication, better convergence, a better collaboration between all of these stakeholders. Some examples that I can share from our work. For example, we know that there are a lot of government flagship programs which are of course being delivered in the tea communities at scale. Now including some additional focus on some nuanced behavior change components under these programs. For example, we know that the AAA, the Asha, Anganwadi worker, and ANMs, they work in these gardens as well, and they are delivering a lot of the health and nutrition services. For example, the iron folic acid tablet that is given to pregnant women, because we were also talking about anemia being a big issue in tea communities. So the iron folic acid tablet, while it gets distributed at the ANC point by the ANM, it is actually at the household where the woman is expected to consume it at a regular interval, which is more of a household level decision, and it is more of a practice which needs to be instilled in the communities themselves. That is where the gaps are identified, and that is where we have been trying to work directly with the communities as well to strengthen the service delivery and of course strengthen the demand for these and the acceptance of these services. Another part is we know that there are some the creches at the tea estates. This is also one unique platform where we can try to bring in more convergence from the relevant stakeholders, including government and the tea managements, to actually strengthen the convergence between the creches and the Anganwadi centers. And that is where we have tried to also work with the tea managements and bring in a family-friendly lens into the entire approach of promoting nutrition through the creches, because we know that the woman who is working in the gardens, she first needs to be sure that the child is well taken care of for the entire period of time that she is actually engaged in her work activities. And that is where the platform of creches it becomes a unique complementary platform to the Anganwadi centers to give more comprehensive services. So it is actually an opportunity which I think can be tapped even further to strengthen the convergence and reach of all of these services, because the community is the same which is being catered by the Anganwadi worker as well as by the creche worker in the gardens. The second learning that I want to share a bit about is about building the community's own resources and capacities and information points or access points to get good information on whatever they want. One that, of course, only when they would know what are the benefits of certain practices, they would be able to take it up. And second, it also creates our own community mobilization, which actually leads to more sustained results. For example, the mother support groups that we are working with in the tea communities, there are about almost one group in each tea garden that is being capacitated to actually take on additional responsibilities. And these are women, these are mothers from the tea communities themselves who are actually taking up the additional responsibility of disseminating messages, of disseminating, of course, information on crucial behaviors. And they're also, of course, providing the practical support that is often needed when we talk about nutrition practices. It is not just about knowledge, but it is also about having the practical support available at the right point in your journey to actually be able to practice what you know. We know that gender norms, these behaviors are actually, they get enforced at a broader community level. They get endorsed at a community level. And that is why having these community level platforms talking about these issues, it helps to actually bring more buy-in from the, more ownership from the community. It helps to make the results more sustainable. It also helps to add and complement your, of course, already existing platforms and to because behavior change requires continuous repeated messaging through different channels, reaching the particular person, synced messages going from different platforms. So these mother support groups have actually given us that additional platform of taking the messages to the communities, and especially in times of the COVID lockdown and the challenges that communities, the very unprecedented challenges that the communities face. It helps to have a community level workforce, community level platform to actually support you through those. The last point that I want to share is about our investments in adolescents as an agent of change. We have worked with collectivized adolescent girls groups, adolescent boys groups to, of course, one, to strengthen their own life skills, their own confidence, their own decision-making powers, and second, to also work as peer leaders for the other adolescents who are not so easily reached through for multiple reasons through different platforms. And this includes both adolescent girls and boys, because we understand that one, investing in adolescent girls, investing in women, it has its own return of investment in terms of actually influencing the family and the household level behavior, not just individual level change, but household level change. Bringing in adolescent boys and men, our experience, while this has been a nascent or a relatively new effort from our side as well, but this has shown us some positive opportunities to institutionalize dialogue around gender equality, so that they are also able to identify gender biases. They are also able to talk about these, they are able to acknowledge it, and that is the age where we feel that it's kind of a window of opportunity, not just for breaking the intergenerational cycle of malnutrition, but also instilling these gender transformative changes into the community strengths. We have, through the same platforms of adolescent boys and girls, we have worked to build their capacities on, for example, organizing folklore. Like they have their own community accepted norms and folklores practices which are there in the community, mapping them out and using the same learnings to take it back to the community, to reach more number of people and to institutionalize it through the adolescent clubs. That has been one learning for us, which helped us to reach more adolescents through peer-to-peer interaction. We have also been working with the logic that adolescents, especially if you look at the tea gardens in Assam, we would see that almost, in fact, a bit more than 40% of the population is right now in the age group of less than 18 years. So that is a very, very substantial proportion of the tea communities that is ready to accept, that is adaptable, that is ready to take in more ideas and go with that as they grow. That is, I believe, a very, very strong window of opportunity that is in front of us, and it would need more investment. I would use this platform to also request for more investment in adolescents as change agents. So yeah, I think I will close with that, and if there are any questions, I would really be happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shweta. In fact, it was really insightful to take us through your learnings. In our future engagement, definitely we would be happy to engage with you. Yeah. I would now request Mr. Anshu Shukla from APPL Gardens to please unmute yourself. So APPL Gardens have been a friend in the last year of WSAF, and the gardens have adopted and implemented many programs in the past decade, I would say, on a range of issues, including WASH, nutrition, gender, sexual harassment, etc., and keeping women and girls at the center of all the interventions. So, Anshu, if you can, share with us what has been the prominent, learnings, key findings that we must adopt, keeping in mind that we are going to work towards addressing gender equality. Yes.
Thank you, Manisha, and good evening to all the distinguished panelists, as well as the participants who have taken the time to come and join us here for this discussion. Being APPL and erstwhile Tata Tea, the Tatas have always had laid a very strong impetus on welfare in particular, and taking the baton on from there on, we at APPL have also over the years introduced a myriad range of activities which are focused particularly on women empowerment, hygiene, nutrition, WASH, and various others think. But the guided direction actually started off with one of our panelists here, who was Mr. Sandeep Ghosh, who was a pioneer in spearheading the adolescent girls program, which actually began at one of our estates in Namrup. And thereafter, taking the learnings from there and seeing the effectiveness of the street plays and, the messaging down the line at the grassroots level coming from these girls being a very effective tool, we increased it to the rest of our estates. And slowly, we are seeing the change happening. Although, as far as women empowerment is concerned, the focused programming actually started only a year back. So which is a little too soon right now to actually comment on the effectiveness of the program, because as one of the panelists had also mentioned, that behavior change is a very important aspect. And to get behavior change into the people's minds and to get it effective takes some time. It's not something that can happen overnight. So a concerted effort needs to be made in that direction to see positive change coming about. But nonetheless, even in the past year, with the intervention of IDH and a part of the program being conducted by the UN Women in the year before, we have seen a bit of change coming in at the grassroots level, where women are becoming aware of gender-based violence, even sexual harassment at workplace. And we are actually very proud to say that we have also had cases of sexual harassment which have been reported and have been dealt with in an appropriate manner. So this goes to show that the awareness is coming in, although it will take some time before it spreads over. So last year we had about 10 TS states who were focusing on gender-based violence and women empowerment. And this year, thanks to IDH, we are deeply indebted to you for extending this program to the rest 15 estates, including 4 of our estates in the Doas. And I was recently there and traveling around when I was speaking to the management and even to the worker representatives on the introduction of this program. It was met with a lot of enthusiasm, and people are actually looking forward to it. But one area what I see is that as far as identification of gender-based violence or sexual harassment at workplace is one part of it. Addressing these issues are another part, because and in certain cases, it becomes a law and order situation. And once it becomes a law and order situation, we require the intervention of the government. So this time around, I was very happy to see the interventions on behalf of the Deputy Commissioners of Dibrugarh and Tinsukia district, who have also pitched in and got the various government machineries to tag along with the IDH program and to create awareness that these machineries are also available for people to avail in case such situations do arise. Because in contrast to urban areas where there are gender-based violence issues, the centers are maybe a stone's throw away for people to approach and avail those, the facilities. Whereas in rural areas, it becomes very difficult sometimes for the women to actually approach or find out where these centers are, to even travel to those centers and seek help. So that is where we need a more concerted effort of the government machinery coming in to facilitate this, because many times law and order situations cannot be dealt with by the estate management. They do not have the authority or the power. So this is where going forward, we would like to see some more intervention coming in and the government facilities or the government machinery playing a more important role in addressing these issues. So, so far things are on the right track, and we are looking forward to much more awareness generation and, actually incidences of gender-based violence reducing on the tea plantations. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshu. Now we are moving ahead to ways forward section, and I would like to come to Ms. Malaka representing Tea Board. Ms. Malaka, can you just stabilize your,
Okay, yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to all the panelists, like ma'am, you also, then IDH, TISCO, to bring this important topic today in this forum, because we all know that the safety of women, it's very important in today's world. So first of all, ma'am, before starting my topic, I just mention one thing that before we speak something about the gender equality, we should always one thing keep in mind that a woman couldn't do anything what a man could do. So we should always keep this in mind. So okay, because since we are running out of time, so I just want to be specific. See, the Tea Board actually, the Tea Board has it's a very vast regulatory body. The Tea Board, rendering the financial and technical assistance for the cultivations. They are doing the market promotions. They are doing, they are aiding the research and development activities for augmentation of tea production and improvement of tea quality. Then they extend financial assistance to the plantation worker. and their works through labor welfare measure. So in this topic, I just want to say one thing, like empowering women and promoting gender equality. It's crucial to accelerating the sustainable development, and the sustainable development relies on ending discrimination towards women. So the entire spectrum of elements which act as a barrier to equitable participation of women in development, it's really means that, you know, that which act as a barrier for their participation in development. It ranges from their educations, their health, their self-confidence. So like if I think what Tibet can do to support tea state management to promote gender equality in the tea garden. So first of all, I should mention it's a education, because education, without education, the women empowerment is just not possible. So in case of education, the T-board, like from the, you know, in 11th year plan, in 12th year plan, in medium frame, the T-board has done many things in regards to educations. They have given education stipend to the wards of tea garden worker. So when we have gone through the data, what we have seen, like, you know, the people, they are becoming nowadays conscious about the education of girl child. Means earlier the cases was very few, but now what happened, we have you know, received lots in this regard, in regards to education stipend, then in regards to Nehru Award. But ma'am, one thing, like, but still we have not received 100% participation from the from the, you know, girl child. So why it's happening, we should always, you know, go into depth. See, the girl, they are, you know, discontinue their studies in the middle to look after their sibling. Okay, fine, when the parents, they went for their work. So you know, so we have to because, you know, nowadays what happened, the garden management, they have done a lot for the tea garden worker. They have a crisis where, then, you know, where the women's worker that keep their child there. But, you know, if they need more, so in future we are, you know, we can help that way to the tea management. So the tea board, you know, they can also look after the health sector of tea garden. Earlier what happened, in the 10th year plan, the tea board, they used to give you know, like the financial assistance to construct building, provide them grant for medical equipment, accessories, ambulance, etc. And also they are, you know, providing vocational training to the tea garden workers to develop the gender equality, because without these three, like education, health, vocational training, without these things, the gender equality, it's not possible. Because to develop a gender equality, we need these three important points. And apart from that, I just want to include one more thing. Actually what happened, due to lack of education, you know, they have some kind of fear, they just don't want to speak publicly. So, you know, what we can think for future, like in board committee, we have a development committee. So in that committee, we can put someone from the you know, labor women worker as a board member, so then they can speak their issues, because they are the one who can, you know, who address their issues very well, because they are within them. This is the second point. And third point, you know, in future also we can make some kind of scheme under like special fund, and where, you know, we can assist the women worker of the tea garden at the time of their, you know, when they need medical, or, you know, like at the time of their financial or medical distress. So I just want to keep just, you know, keep forward this point. We, like in every meeting organized by the trade organization, whether it is your, you know, ACMS, like the tea board, everywhere, you know, we want a woman from the tea garden who can represent the, you know, women of all the tea gardens to address their issues. So, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Malakar. Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, your suggestions are well taken.
Yeah.
Now, I would come to our, you know, final speaker, Ms. Sri Mukesh Chandra Shahu, Senior Indian Administrative Service official and current Principal Secretary to the Government of Assam. As I had mentioned in the beginning, he, in his portfolio, Social Welfare Department is also something that he's looking after. And he has been, very patiently from the beginning listening to all the points and reflections shared by the other speakers. The floor is all yours, Sri Shahu.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening to all. I hope I am audible, properly audible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, in fact, the panel today, it is quite experienced in various fields, and they have shared their experiences, their vision, and almost they have covered everything that has to be covered in a webinar like that. So, I will rather say what the Social Welfare Department is looking into, especially in tea garden areas related to the safety and empowerment of the women workforce in the tea garden. So we have already discussed about SDG goals, and we know that the SDG goals that was recently published, there were certain indicators in which Assam did not do much well. And if we analyze the performance indicator wise and region wise in Assam, then we see that many of the indicators of Assam has not performed well in specific geographical locations. And one of the major regions where we have faltered in various indicators, especially social indicators, health indicators like that, are the tea garden areas. There are other groups also like, the hill areas and what we call riverine areas, shore areas. But the tea garden areas have also been one big monolithic block, which has contributed to a slightly reduced performance in our various indicators. So that all the more calls for more importance in our implementation of these schemes in these areas, and that's what we have been doing from various departments. Now we have been talking about various issues and various problems, so we will have to first think what is different in the tea garden areas than what we are doing in non-tea garden areas. What are the issues, what are the problems that are more specific to these areas, and so that we can slightly fine-tune our interventions in that manner. Now the ideas these days in governance is about saturation. That means whatever we do, we must do to reach a saturation point whereby we cover all the population and not just maybe on a pilot basis or in a group or with some specific targets. Now the targets generally are meant to be in such a manner that it saturates that demand, and we will have to go accordingly in these fields also. So the first big issue that I see in our tea garden areas, which is comparatively less in other parts of the women workforce in Assam, is prevalence of anemia. Many of the speakers have talked about it. We have also been talking about it. There are institutions, there are ways of supplying of IFA tablets and deworming and all those things on changing the eating habits of the various people in tea garden areas. But I don't see things working the way we want it to work. Even now there are many cases where we find that a lady has died because of anemic conditions, but in her house there was a lot of IFA tablets still lying, but she did not consume that. So it is not that just giving the iron folic tablets will work or giving the deworming tablets will work. We will have to somehow inculcate these habits and ensure that they take. Rather, what we are doing right now, it is seen that we are just maybe giving it to the sardars or somebody in the group like that, and it is not going properly the way it should have been going. But somehow our concerted effort from various stakeholders who are working, we must ensure that somehow we must eradicate this menace of anemia from the tea garden areas. Unless we are able to do that, we will not be able to achieve our targets in IMR or MMR like that. The second thing that I think it is a problem area is that absence of crisis. We know that the ladies, mostly 60% or maybe even more of the workforce is consisting of women. and many of them are even just after birth, maybe a week or so like that, they have to go to work because they need that money. But where to keep their baby? So she keeps it at home under somebody's, and somehow, I mean, nobody can take care of a child the way a mother would do. So proper care is not taken there, and so we see lots of IMR also. So I think the authorities, whoever are looking into that, they must ensure that proper creche, even for not only child but even new, I mean, very young kids, maybe 3 months, 6 months, like that. We should be able to have place so that mother can keep it there and then work, and then also, I mean, proper care is taken of the babies. Third problem that I see is about the child marriage. Prevalence of child marriage in tea garden areas, it's quite high. Although whenever we encounter our normal assumption is that the married girl is below 18, but when you ask, they will always say 21 or something like that. So, but it is a fact that children, the girl childs are getting married at a younger age, very low. I mean, maybe below 18, and after that they are carrying babies also, and it is affecting the baby as well as the mother also. So we will have to do, we are taking actions, I mean, on all those like anemia, crash, girl child marriage, etc. We are taking action, but I think all the stakeholders that are working in this field, they will also have to think in these lines, how do we tackle all these things. Now, high number of SAM and MAM children, this severely acute malnourished child and moderately acute malnourished child, we see high prevalence of these kind of children in tea garden areas. We have built up nutrition rehabilitation centers near the tea garden area so that a mother with her child can come, stay there for around 14 days or maybe 21 days, like that, 2-3 weeks, and then can take away a healthy baby. But it is seen that most of the women folk are not ready to even stay there for 14 days, because first of all, there is a pressure from their husband or something like that. And plus there is a loss of wage. So she wants to go back or somebody else will take her job. So all these things are creating a problem in having a healthy, I mean, all these things affect the women after all. So I think in these health and nutrition aspect, we will have to with concerted effort, we will have to work and ensure that these things are taken care of in a very universal manner for all the ladies, girls, pregnant, lactating mothers, and the young children. The other thing is, I think, lack of good Anganwadi centers. I mean, there are land issues in tea garden areas. It is not very easy to set up an Anganwadi center. Now, from our department, we have started setting up some model Anganwadi center. We have allocated 25 lakh for one Anganwadi center. Around 1,000 or so we have now. We are now doing it, and slowly we have a target to cover all the areas so that these model Anganwadi centers will have a room for the child education. Child means below 6 years. They will have a room for where women can meet and adolescent girls can meet, and there can be discussion. So even we will have a small creche like that. But still, LP school, higher schools, people have to maybe go 10 kilometers like that to go to a high school. So how will, I mean, we have been talking about vocational trainings. Unless some of the girls from the tea garden areas get some vocational trainings and go out of tea garden activities, otherwise there will be lots of pressure in the tea garden only, and that will create more problem in future. So we must ensure that tea garden people, they get alternate job and move out of tea garden area so that the remaining workforce there can be managed easily also. So the last 2 points I will say, one is about prevalence of lots of alcohol addiction in the tea garden areas, not amongst women specifically, but men folk like that. And these leads to lots of domestic violence. So we will have to, we are doing Nasha Mukt Bharat, those kind of abhiyans, but maybe everybody else will also have to chip in to ensure that this alcohol menace, especially among the poor people, it affects more. We have, as somebody was saying, we have protection officers designated in every district. People can go there, but we will have to also look into the root causes why this domestic violence is coming into this. And a big reason there is about alcohol addiction out there. The last point is about trafficking, women trafficking. We see that lots of women are trafficked, especially from this community, the community who we call it tea garden community, and those. We have got various homes for trafficked women. When we retrieve them, we do some awareness program also. But these are problem areas where everybody who are working in these fields, the tea garden management, the associations, the organizations like UNICEF and other companies which are doing CSR, everybody should come together and work especially on these fields. These are the root causes. And unless we tackle that at the ground level, at the higher level, thinking only of like women leadership, it will not come unless we, sort out these problems. So I would like to thank everyone. I just shared few of my thoughts that I jotted down just before this webinar. If there are some more suggestions that are coming, then we'll certainly like to work together in these fields. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Really, it was very kind of you to join us and be there throughout the webinar session. We have few questions I could see in the Q&A box and also in the chat box, but we already have overshot ourselves by 10 minutes than the scheduled time. I would like to conclude here the webinar today, and all the suggestions and reflections that are shared by you would help us definitely in building a shared agenda of tea producers, government, academia, along with civil society to work towards empowered workplace for women in the tea gardens. With that, I thank you everyone sincerely, and all the attendees who have stayed through, being very, supportive to our cause. We know they have been our friends in the journey. I would like to end the webinar here. Thanks, and have a good evening. Good day. Bye.